It's time to bake shortbread cookies. You can use any shortbread cookie recipe. I've got flour, butter, an egg yolk, some kind of baking sugar substitute, and olive oil and some salt, and I'm just gonna add wakame. Now, one thing I learned about shortbread cookies is that the order that you put the ingredients in the mixing bowl matters. I found myself forgetting to do it in the right order at a certain point, and it got a little frustrating for my whisk, as you will see shortly. I added a little bit too much flour right away, and it just kept clumping up inside my whisk, so maybe I should have just mixed it with something else entirely. But that's also, I think, the nature of shortbread cookie dough. You think about when you eat a shortbread, the texture is very unique and kind of hard and crumbly, and so the dough is also kind of crumbly. Anyway, there was a bit of a struggle. Just added the baking sugar substitute thing, trying to get the dough out of my freaking whisk. Obviously, I'm not a baker, but if I can make these and have them taste good, then you definitely can, which is kind of the point of the Cooking with Kelp series. If I can cook it, you can cook it. Anyway, I finally switched, got rid of the whisk, started using this little spatula, and things went much easier. There's the olive oil, and finally I got to the point where I was just digging in with my hands and shaping the dough nicely. And you can see it already kind of looks like shortbread cookie, at least I thought it did. Now, because I was starting with my own shortbread cookie recipe and trying to follow the steps to make the dough, I totally forgot to add the seaweed. So I would recommend adding the seaweed earlier in the mixing process, probably before you start adding in the flour, because it got a little scrunched up in certain spots and made the dough fall apart where there was too much seaweed. And anyway, it was a bit of a process to finally get the dough into the right shapes. I did the sort of traditional log shape. You're supposed to let them rest for a little bit. And then I wanted to have fun, so I rolled it out. So I took this little cookie cutter in the shape of a pirate ship because it's seaweed, so why not? I actually had a hard-ish time getting it to cut right. I don't think that's normally what people do with shortbread cookie dough. Anyway, I had to try a couple times. I also tried rolling this tiny, adorable rolling pin on it with shells. They didn't really show up. Again, I don't think this is normally how you do shortbread cookies, but it was really fun to attempt, and I just added a little bit of sea salt on top and a little extra seaweed on top to try to even out the flavor of the seaweed. Definitely mixing it in together earlier next time. Anyway, into the oven they go. You can see I made a very small amount. I like to test things. Boom, boom. Whatever the recipe says, cook them for that long, depending on how many you make. And your oven. My oven's very finicky. Anyway, they didn't really look that cooked when I took them out, but they kind of held their shape. They did fall apart a little bit, but they're shortbread cookies. And they may not look that great, because I'm not a good baker, but they tasted really good. So eat for joy and eat for climate.